This is Valerie Van Boon with the Senior Care Industry Netcast, where leaders with 3 or more years of experience in the senior care market share their advice. So let's get to it. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello. Well, first, thank you, Valerie, for your work in the senior care industry. And we appreciate this opportunity to share a little bit about our business today. And I've enjoyed watching the other netcasts as well. So, my name is Shelly Hartley, and I'm with Mindful Home Transitions. And we are a senior based business. What we do is we assist seniors and their families with the physical and emotional demands of right-sizing, decluttering, moving, organizing, and the entire move process from start to finish.
And that is a huge job, especially
Yeah.
if you lived in your house for, well, any length of time for me, but for 30 years, 40 years, oh my goodness, the amount of stuff that we accumulate naturally is crazy. So when someone's lived in their amazing family home for years and years and years, I know it's an emotional time,
It is. It
but
is.
it's also a very physically challenging time to get everybody organized and to get moved. So, what is the best thing about serving aging adults? And feel free to talk more about what you do and what that means.
Sure, of course. Okay. So, well, our tagline is we take the work and the worry out of moving because we know, I mean, I think it's like the top 3 worst things you face going through life. So we understand that. And like you said, with the family home of 40 plus years, there's a lot that accumulates. I think one of our fun stories is we were with a couple and they said, "Where did all this come from?" And they each were looking at each other and they thought, where did these things, where do they come from? So, I mean, that is a challenge, but we have figured out a way to, move somebody through that entire process rather quickly. And, to answer your question, one of my favorite things really is when, after we move somebody, to see them thriving in their new environment. Sometimes it's a senior community, sometimes it's just a condo or a ranch home, but just to go back and to see how they've adapted. And I think a little story is I was talking to somebody a month after we moved them, and the daughter said, "Every time I call my mom, I can't reach her because she's down playing bingo or she's socializing with other ladies that she met, some newfound friends." So, that's always good. That's one of the things that we like to hear. So, and all the stories, of course, but I really just to see them thrive in a new environment when it's just everything's new and they are enjoying it.
Yeah, and you know what? I would totally agree with you if I were in your shoes because just having done some care management in my lifetime,
Mhm.
the folks that it's a scary time. It's a scary time before the move. It's an emotional time. It's overwhelming. But when you hear somebody say, "I should have done this 10 years ago. I should have
Yes.
done this 20 years ago," that is amazing. That is so nice to hear. And a lot of people do wait too long. I mean, they really could have a much more social environment or whatever they want to make out of that in a big senior living community where they have access to all kinds of amenities.
Agreed.
So I would agree with you. That has to be so rewarding to know they're well cared for, they're doing great, and they're enjoying it, and they have no reservations about that decision. They love it.
Right.
So,
And sometimes, when we move somebody, or even if they stay in their own house and we help them organize or declutter, and they say to us, after like what we call the HGTV, the big reveal, and they come in and they're so delighted and we get all the compliments, but I always have to let them know that these are your items, these are things from your house. And so when they are moving and we select the things that when they're walking around their home and they're pointing out things, but sometimes the way that they're grouped or the way that they're positioned in their home don't highlight them. So when we can, in their new environment, we take all those things and we create a new environment and everything is decorated, they're so delighted. And it's like, well, these are your items. You have excellent taste. You picked out these. So there's a rediscover for them. And we really enjoy being a part of that process.
Gosh, I want an HDTV big reveal. Come to my house. I want a big reveal. Yeah, I know. I think at any age, our family's lived in our current home, same neighborhood for 15 years, but our current home for 3 years, we needed to upsize because our teenagers are getting older and bigger by the minute. So, right. And it's a great decluttering process. Mm-hmm. But still, I think even after just a few years, it's amazing how much you accumulate, and you have to constantly be doing a Marie Kondo or whatever her name is, that wonderful woman. You constantly have to be redoing that it never stops. So it is a lot. It is a lot. So thankfully, there are folks like you out there who can help these seniors and their families, because I'm sure there's a lot of adult children who just look around and go, what am I going to do with all this stuff?
Exactly. And that's really the challenge. And it is. And a lot of times the adult children, they're professionals or they're out of state. More people are transient now, and they don't have time to work every weekend at mom and dad's house, setting up a garage sale or estate sale or going through everything and, sorting. So there's always been moving companies, and moving companies started to pack, but there really hasn't been companies that can go in and help with the decision making. Sometimes we're counselors, we're therapists, we're social workers. There's all different types of family dynamics that we have to work with. And you just need a neutral Switzerland in there sometimes to just keep the ball moving and working towards that goal.
Nice. That is so great. You described that in such a nice way. Family dynamics are huge issues. So yes, it's nice to be just sort of, the third party that comes in and can help everybody with whatever their needs are. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine in your career that there have been people or organizations that have really made an impact on you. They have, guided you to where you are today. So who is it that you would like to shine the spotlight on or give a shout out to?
Okay. Well, a few. The first, my husband, he's a hospice nurse. And I know that is challenging to be a nurse, but let alone in hospice. And so for him first. And then I work with actually NASM. NASM is the National Association of Senior Move Management. And that's who actually started the whole senior move management I would say career or businesses. And so I think that I'm very fortunate that I found them, and they've given us the training, the education. They're constantly supporting the sisterhood of all of us out there. So definitely a shout out to NASM. And then I would also say a community. I work with a lot of different communities, but one in particular, St. Joseph Village in Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area, and that's outside of Detroit. They have really gone above and beyond, I think, during this whole COVID crisis to not only help the people that are currently in their community, but people that need to move in or maybe transition from independent to assisted living. Just every time I'm there, I'm always delighted with not only Patty Albert, who works with people moving in, but just everyone in the office down to maintenance. And they get my shout out today because they do a fantastic job.
Isn't it nice to come across an organization that should be the model for everyone else and that you get to work with them? I love it when I find somebody out there who really just does the right thing and does a great job. They're organized and they're helpful and they understand the need of that client or that senior.
Yes.
That is wonderful to be able to have those kinds of people to work with. So that's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Let's talk about online marketing a little bit. It's been really hard to network in person for the last year plus a little bit. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Things are getting better. We're still kind of, with getting together in big groups. So online marketing has become very important. So what has been your experience with online marketing, Zoom calls, and all those things that we do?
Well, I'm thankful for Zoom because we certainly used it a lot a year ago. Um, I think that for me, a small business owner, it is one of, probably not one of, the biggest challenges that we have. It's not an area of expertise. Along with that, I just don't have the time to put forth to learn the different platforms. I mean, I'm very proud of myself for doing this today. I can't tell you how many times I thought about calling and canceling because of the, it's something that you just don't do. So I probably in the very, very, very near future will be a new customer of the approved senior network because I think that's something that I'm going to need. But we've used Facebook and of course a website, but all the other platforms. It's I found that we have been thankful to work off of referrals, and that constantly gives us business. But to grow the business, we have to have a professional handle the marketing. That it's something that can't be done in house. Luckily we have scaled back because we keep teams small because of COVID. However, I do, like you, believe right around the corner we can start to have the freedoms that we once had. And so, if I want my business to grow, I'm going to have to rely upon someone that's an expert in that area.
Sure. You know what? I would say this. I mean, for us, it's everybody has the same issue. You are an expert at what you do. I do not ever want to have to move somebody in my field. I will hire somebody to help them move and help them get to where they need to be. And oversight is fine, but that's not my area of expertise. It's, when you have a family. So just like anything, online marketing is a challenge. It's a challenge for the experts. It's a challenge for everybody. And I would say that no matter which way you turn, as long as you have a really good website and some social media presence, and I honestly, LinkedIn is great because that's how we met, and then Facebook is really where our demographic is. It's really where it gets older by the day. So people our age and older are on Facebook looking at their grandchild's pictures and all the things that they like. And so those are the kinds of places that are important. You can narrow it down to one or two platforms and be fine. But it is a challenge, I would say, for someone who's very busy. But referrals, in-person referrals, will always be the number one way to get new business, because nothing beats a person saying, well, I use so-and-so and they were awesome. There is nothing else that can beat that. So it's always going to be your first line of marketing. That's what I tell everybody. But then online marketing can always help. So so that is definitely, I hear that a lot. It is a challenge, but definitely overcomable.
Yes.
Okay, what piece of advice would you give to other senior care providers out there?
Well, even as a professional in my industry, I am still learning every day from others. And I've learned a few tips from watching, one of your netcasts. But I will say that I think that right now it's important to refresh, recharge, regroup, and really organize, because I feel like right around the corner, everyone is going to be swamped in the senior care industry. I think we always believe that during the holidays, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, end of year, families tend to get together. And that's when things are noticed a little bit, that maybe mom or dad, there's been some changes, that maybe with the hygiene, the way they took care of their home, what they're eating. And you notice those things during the holiday. And then you think, okay, the beginning of the year, let's, address these. Well, people didn't get together, during the holidays. And then, so now as things are opening up and families are flying to see one another, I think that people's eyes are going to be opened and they're going to see like, wow, some changes need to happen. So I think the industry overall, doesn't matter if they're moving, staying in their home, or just need additional care. I think that everyone's going to be really swamped. So I think just getting ready, making sure that all of your systems are in place is going to be really important, because I feel like all of a sudden it's just the calls are going to start coming in nonstop.
I would agree with you. I think you're right. There are families who haven't seen their loved ones easily in a year or more. And by the time the holidays roll around, it will have been it'll have been a year and a half, maybe, or maybe 2 years since they've seen their family member. And there's going to be a lot of shock out there about how people fared on their own without a whole lot of interaction over the last year.
Right.
So I think you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of calls for what isolation can do. And it's not intentional, but it is something that can take a toll on folks. And just energy levels. If you don't leave the house and you're not doing as much as you used to, your energy level for a year is going to decrease. And you're not going to feel like cleaning the house so much. You're not going to feel like, washing the dishes every day, or maybe there's a bit of a mental decline.
Sure.
So I think you're right. I think people are going to get a really good dose of what's going on in this holiday season, and it's going to be crazy. I think even this summer, as people start to travel a little bit more, we're going to start to see what the reality has been for the last year. So those are going to be some interesting times. You're right. We all need to refresh and recharge. So I think you're right. It's coming. It's coming. All right. When you have a win in life or business, how do you like to celebrate?
So me, I am no stranger to a nice glass of wine or cocktail. So we definitely, to everyone that helps us along the way, we make sure that we celebrate together, and always, good meals, good food. Really talking about, that win. I mean, wins come in many forms. And to us, it's just sometimes it's just, the referral, it's the repeat business. If we've moved somebody independent to assisted to memory care, other times it's just knowing that the work that we did, they are safer. And that is just a big win to me, just knowing that everyone's safe and there's no hazards in the home anymore. So we like to get together and really just take some downtime and celebrate through a nice meal. I'd like to say vacation, but we can't vacation quite yet. So hopefully soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be nice to say vacation again. It will be. We're planning on taking our little summer vacation. It's not, we're driving, we're being careful and all those things, and not going that far. But it's still going to be away from our house.
Yes.
So yeah, those are great ways to celebrate. And I would imagine that when your job is done and the family is happy, the senior is happy, and things are looking good, that just gives you awesome. You're just so relieved for them, relieved for their family, and happy that person's happy. I can imagine that's a nice time to just sit back and relax for a while and think, we did a good job today.
Yeah, it's so rewarding. It really is. And especially because it's so often dreaded. We say that sometimes it takes longer to dread something than to actually do it. And so I love when we get the calls and there's all the barriers and we're able to just start working and get that ball rolling. And by the end of the week, by Friday, everything's set in place. Their house is staged, ready to go on the market. We fixed all the little repairs, and you can just feel the sense of relief come over everybody in the family. So yeah, it is very rewarding. I feel like we found our calling.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that listening to this, there'll be other people who will be very intrigued by what you do, and either, and my hope is always that as doing these interviews, that there are people out there who will see them. They may be already thinking about being in some senior care type business, or maybe they already are, and they will want to go down a path and start their career, and maybe they'll be the next senior mover in their local area that's well educated and has a well managed business. So everybody's an inspiration, I think, that comes on, and you've shared your wisdom, and I appreciate that, and so does everybody else. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the call.